Hey everybody, Matt DeBerry, dogpost.com. It is December 1st, and Kirby Smart had a lot to say yesterday talking about Gunnar Stocktons, not so great performance against Georgia Tech. We're going to dive into that. He talked about the latest injury update. He talked about Ty Simpson. He talked about the improvements that Georgia has made since the first time these two played back in September. So there's a lot to talk about. Obviously, signing day is in 2 days. That's when the early signing day period starts. There's a lot to talk about and go over there. So make sure you are on dogpost.com. But definitely want to start the week off talking about what Kirby Smart had to say. And we're going to talk about Gunnar Stockton first, because that was probably the worst he's played so far this year. He didn't play losing football, but he really struggled to get much going through the air. Obviously, just 70 yards passing. We're going to talk about some of the passes that he would have liked to have back. He did not play the best early in the second quarter. Missed a couple of touchdowns to Zachariah Branch there. We'll dive into more there, but I wanted to share what Kirby Smart had to say. Of course, you could read all of this and more over on Dawg Post. He said after the game that Gunnar Stockton has to do what the coaches coach him to do. Yesterday, he didn't necessarily go back on that statement, but he did say, after watching the film, he probably played better than I thought. Here's exactly what he said. Quote, "He did some good things. He made some good decisions. There were a couple of times where he had pressure in his face where he probably missed some guys that were open. He's got to navigate the pocket a little better or just get rid of it, try to take a sack. I thought he forced one of the balls where the interception happened. That's not like him. He probably played better than I actually thought after the game. The ability of the offensive line, the run game, really helped set the tone for the first half. Second half wasn't as good. They did some different things to hurt us. Now, we've seen Gunnar Stockton play very, very, very well at times. Like one of the best quarterbacks in the country, I expect him to take a step forward. It was just a little off, and you saw that early in the second quarter. Zachariah Branch was open. It looked like a walk-in screen. He went to, I think, Nate Frazier on the near side instead for no gain, but there was some pressure there. Thought he still had a little, second to get the ball out quickly to Zachariah Branch, who would have been, it would have been 7-0 there. I think they ended up settling for a field goal. And then the other was, pressure. He tried to escape, but he was there too. Wide open, actually. I think that may have been on the next play. And, he has tried to escape. I think he may have picked up 1 or 2 yards there, but it felt like, when that first option wasn't there, he really tried to take off with his legs. That was a big emphasis going into the game. Obviously, they had some design runs for him, so he feels comfortable running the ball. But after that interception, it really felt like, okay, I'm going to try to be really safe with this. If it's not there, I'm going to take off. And it led to some runs that were he couldn't take off down the field, and they kind of had to settle for something. But Kirby Smart is out here, saying, yeah, he didn't play his best, but this is a guy who does recover and he does bounce back. And we have seen him play at a really, really high level. And I think they'll probably open the game plan up a little bit more against Alabama. I feel like they have to. But there was another one right before the half. He went to Dylan Bell where he was covered on the near side. I think there was like 10 seconds left maybe in the half, so they had to go to the end zone. Felt like it would have been nice to see him take a shot to Noah Thomas, who had one-on-one coverage, further of a throw. But it was just little things that, he's made better decisions before, and we've seen the ball placement be really nice down the field. So just felt like there were too many low percentage throws that were out there. But, we'll talk more about Nate Frazier. But going back and watching the tape against Georgia Tech, that guy ran really, really hard. But Kirby Smart was also asked about the differences, how his team has improved and looked since they played the first time. And he had a lot to say there. But first, I want to talk about Freebird, our great sponsor, proudly sourced from the heart of Georgia's Blue Ridge Mountains. Freebird delivers a crisp, clean taste, making it easy to stay hydrated and make your taste buds stand up and salute. Drink to life's simpler moments. This stuff is fantastic. Oh, it's the best. It's the best water. They're great, so make sure you're picking up Freebird this winter and beyond. Here's what Kirby Smart had to say about the improvements. He said, yeah, we have improved in some areas. We've gone full circle in other areas. We've been dealing with different injuries now than we probably were then. We're going to talk more about that in a little bit, probably in another video. We'll see if we're able to touch on it. But of course, you can read all of that and more, a lot of it for free over on dawgpost.com. He said, but the biggest growth would be Gunner, or one of the biggest improvements has been Gunner. He's played in more games. He's played in a lot of tough environments. Defensively, we've got a lot of guys who are more experienced. That probably is the biggest difference there. The guys were young when we played them the last time. Now they're a little bit more grown up. They've played more games. Their guys would be in the same way. As the year goes on, you get more comfortable with who you are. You tweak some things, you move some things around, and we tried to make things better there. I think in the secondary, for sure, he's talking about DeMello Jones and Ellis Robinson, who are both playing at a really, really high level. That secondary is not giving up a lot of explosives, and Alabama right now is not hitting a lot of explosives. They're going to try to, but man, Ellis Robinson and DeMello Jones are both playing at a really high level, and they have played better and better over the last several weeks and over the last 2 months. Both of those players are better now than they were in late September. And I think that's just something that he's talking about there. Elijah Griffin, a lot of these defensive linemen are really starting to play better too. And the linebackers, I think, have played really well all year. The defense is flying around, they're attacking, they're making a lot of plays. And they are more experienced. And a lot of these younger guys, you're seeing the light turn on, and they're making more plays and they're gaining more confidence, and they're going to need to play that way against Alabama, who, as we all know, have big time weapons on the outside. It's going to be a great game, but going into it, there was a feel that would it be better if Georgia did not play in the game? What does this game matter now? And it still means a lot. Kirby Smart talked about how it was the biggest game growing up, and year after year, in recent memory, too, this was the second biggest game of the college football season. It was the national championship. That was the game, the prize, right? But right beneath that was the SEC championship. It's a game everyone watched. Big, big deal. Comes with a big trophy, and Georgia's got a lot of them in their trophy case, more than just about everyone else that doesn't play their games in Tuscaloosa, at least in the conference. But he said, look, it's a mark of toughness, talking about winning the SEC. Battle scars, that's what you get. This team has has been through a gauntlet, and it's been really tough. I think it's a great chance to go win a championship. That's all great, but the biggest reason why, is because you get the bye, right? You know you're going to play in the Sugar Bowl if you win this game. You've got that first round bye. And for Georgia, you're comfortable with this. You did this exact same thing last year. If they pull off this win over Alabama, they know what it takes to prepare for championship games. They know what it takes to be on a schedule exactly how they were last year. And if you lose this game, you're probably hosting in the first round. But if you're in the SEC championship, you might as well go win it. You are in the playoffs. A loss to Alabama doesn't kill your chances. It just means you have no more margin for error. Ohio State did not lose in the championship game last year because I think they played it, all right? They did lose to Michigan, and then they turned it on. So we have seen, and Georgia in 21 lost in the SEC championship, turned it on after a few weeks of rest and preparation. So it's not the end of the world if they lose, but if you win, you really do set yourself up for an easier path to the national championship. And this team is familiar with playing in New Orleans too, and in that environment. So a win does help you. There's no doubt about it, especially against this team. That's just another check that they can mark off and, build some confidence within the program that, hey, still having a tough time beating these guys in the regular season, but when, it does matter with stuff on the line, they can beat this Alabama team, and they can do it in Atlanta. So there's still so much at stake here, but it doesn't feel like the 2012 SEC championship, which was the national championship. That's what it was. It just happened to be played in Atlanta, and the winner just happened to go on and be able to have fun and beat down a Notre Dame team. It should never have been there. So the feel, the environment around the game, especially leading up to it, doesn't feel the same, but there's still a lot to be played for, and Kirby Smart says, hey, in order to do it, you still have to have toughness, and we're not going to be hunted, right? That's what he always says. We're not going to be hunted. We're going to go out. We're going to beat everyone in front of us, and it probably would have been a little easier on them to not play in this game, but at the end of the day, you want one of those buys. You want that first-round buy because that'll help you in the long run and get you the rest when it matters most leading up to the playoffs. He knows that, and I think they're going to give it everything they have. They have to. They have to beat this team eventually, and they really need to do it in Atlanta. They've got a lot of chances. They're going to play them again next year, and there will be other scenarios and instances or years where they could play them twice. This is one of those years. Hard to beat a team twice, but it's still Alabama. Georgia has the tools to do it. I know they can. They have to go do it. They have to go do it. We'll see. They need a big week of practice, but it'll be fun, and we'll see how it goes. Thanks for watching, and I'll see you over on dawgpost.com.